29 years experience at IT experience, 27 years in the role at Tri-C. I'm going to just read off a couple of his bio here that is very impressive. Some of his certifications. Certified ethical hacker, which I didn't know that existed. Certified hacking forensic investigator. He's only about 20 feet away from our server behind this door. Microsoft certified technology specialist, Security Plus, CIW, web design, JavaScript specialist, data design specialist, and a lot more here that I don't understand. So again, learning how safety on the internet and maybe kind of some information to take home with you. So
thank you. Welcome. So I've been with the college 30 plus years. Yes, I started when I was 12 years old. I was in charge of the information security department at the college for 17 years. So about our college, we have 4 campuses, multiple locations. The ones closest to you guys are on Richmond Road, our Eastern Campus, and our corporate college facilities. If you have not been out there or know somebody that's out there, get out to those facilities. They are very nice. We serve a lot of students each year. We do a lot of good work. We help a lot of business. We graduate a lot of people. I, for one, started at Cuyahoga Community College. That is where I started my career before I went on to get all my certifications and master's degrees and other things. One of the biggest parts about the college is the economic impact that it has on our community. I think the biggest thing that actually got me was that 85% of the students that go there and graduate there stay here and put money into the area and the economy. So you see all our things. What you came here to learn is how to be safe on the internet, how to protect yourself. Don't be afraid, it's not that scary. Usually I have a digital map going that shows current attacks happening on the internet in real time from different vendors that collect this information. It's good if I'm doing a presentation somewhere and it's open, people see this map and the volley going back and forth, and they walk in and get enthused and wonder what's going on. The thing I want you to take away is when you look at something like the attacker, yes, those attackers are the real attackers that are being attacked. But when you look at the person attacking them, what do you think? You think they're the real attackers? You look at this one when I did it, well, United States was in the top and China was second. You figure somewhere like China, North Korea, something like that would be up there and attacking. But what they do, they don't want you to know that it's them attacking, so they're trying to use computers from all around the world so that they don't get caught. When you look at the biggest breaches that happened, this is the first half of 2017. This is the most current data that's out there. You looked at 122 records are breached every second. You look at just the raw numbers here and the big breaches that happen. One of the newest breaches out there was Uber, where they had a data breach in some of the information, driver privacy, and their passengers. And then we all know about Equifax. Equifax was the biggest breach that happened in recent times. And I just read in the news at the beginning of this week that they now say not only was the information that they said originally was breached, but a whole lot more information that they didn't realize was breached. And the reason this happens is because the Internet of Things. If you've never heard about the Internet of Things, it is everything around you, because no matter what you have now, from your car to your refrigerator to your TV, is connected to the internet, and you can get to it in some way from your mobile device or some other device. Because anyone with the data is a target. Yes, I'm still picking on Target because of the breach they had in November about 3 years ago during their biggest Christmas shopping season. Why does this happen? Well, it used to be years ago, it was kids in their basement, some young kids, 17, 16 years old, hacking, having some fun. Those days are long behind us now. This is a criminal business enterprise. These criminal enterprises act like real businesses. They have CIOs, they have CEOs, CFOs, and leaders, all the way down to the minions that do the work. People get paid different amounts of money during this process, depending on which function they serve in this criminal enterprise. When you look at this and they compare it to other criminal enterprises, it is no different than structures like the mob used to have, where they actually structured their criminal enterprise on business so that they could profit and make the most money. Why do they want to get at you and your data and your PC? Because you could see these are just a few of the list of different things they can do with the PC, and then use your PC or somebody else's PC or a company's PC to go and get out to more people so that they can make more money. It's all about the money. When it's all about the money, you look at what this information sells for on the dark web. This chart was actually in euros, but you look at some of the different things and what they're selling for. All this stuff sells on the dark web. They will sell lots of credit cards in thousands, 10,000s, however many they've compromised. They not only sell this information once, they sell it multiple times. So if I've just compromised a whole bunch of credit cards and they're brand new, I'm going to put it up on the dark web and I'm going to ask the highest price possible for that information, because especially with credit cards and financial information, it gets stale really quick. You're probably going to realize that your credit card's been compromised in under 24 hours. So if that data is new, it gets a higher price. Somebody will buy that lot of credit cards, use them as much as they can, and then put them back out on the dark web for resale again, because most of those cards in that lot will now be dysfunctional. You won't be able to use them, but there's still going to be some in there where people didn't recognize they were compromised. This goes for everything from identities, credit cards, to your actual PCs, email addresses, and everything else. All of this is being sold, and it's not being sold at onesies or twosies. It's all in lots of 10,000 or more. You heard me talk about the dark web. The surface web is where you go. It's all the websites that you go to, Google, all your news websites, things like that. There's a deep web part, which is a lot of scientific data, academic data, things like that. And then there is the dark web. The dark web is not some scary place that is different, that somebody goes, a hacker goes and says, oh, I need a dark web connection, not an internet connection. The dark web connection, the dark web actually lives as part of the internet. You just have to know how to get there. You have to know what tools to use to get there. And that's all you need to get to the dark web. They use special browsers. They use they try to be anonymous when going in the dark web. So you have to try to hide your identity, go through a whole bunch of different steps to get in there. But it is not any different than the internet that you currently use. You've probably seen all the ads on TV, the guy in the basement, there's a new one out, I forget what it is, about the dark web scan and how you need to get a dark web scan, and they try to scare you to think that your information's on the dark web. Well, guess what? If you've ever used an email address, ever used an identity, ever done anything, then guess your identity's out on the dark web. They're going to find it. What they're trying to get you to do is sign up for their service, to agree to their terms of use. Here's one of the vendors that provides a free dark web scan, and by doing your free dark web scan, you see that by clicking Start Scan, you agree to their terms of use, you agree to their marketing, you agree to get all kind of information from them. They're trying to get you as a customer. They're trying to scare you. This is all about scaring you and making you feel uncomfortable to get you to do something. So people ask me, should I get a free dark web scan? No, you should not get a free dark web scan, because your email, your information's out there anyway. What can be found on the dark web? Well, I talked about the credit cards and the information and all that stuff, but you can buy anything illegal on the dark web that you want. That goes from financial information, news media, drugs, all kind of stuff. It's all out there on the dark web. You wonder how they shop for it? It's no different than shopping on an Amazon marketplace. They go to a web browser, they get into the dark web, they go to one of the dark web stores, and you pick and choose what you want to buy, how much you want to pay for it, and put it in your shopping cart and buy it. Here's one that just deals in hacking different information that they will sell you to steal people's identity and things like that. It is all in Bitcoin. You don't put your credit card in to buy something off the dark web because guess what? You want to be anonymous. You don't want people to know. If you put your credit card in or send them a check or a money order, there's going to be some trace that you have purchased this information. Bitcoin is anonymous. So you're probably feeling like this when you go on the internet because there's all kind of threats and risks and viruses and things you have to worry about. But it is really all about social engineering. There is somebody who is trying to scare you or trying to get you to do something that you normally would not do, divulge information. They're trying to make some type of urgency, this is all psychological, so that you don't think about something, that you just give away the information. There is no virus scanner, malware scanner, or technology that is going to protect you from social engineering. This has been around for a very long time. It's no different than the person that was selling snake oil rolling into town. You have to think of the virtual world in terms of the physical world. It is no different. That guy that rolled into the wagon in town with his snake oil trying to get people to buy it and trying to make them feel like they need it, he only dealt with 50 to 100 people when he rolled into that town. These virtual snake oil salesmen are dealing with tens of thousands of people. It's just a bigger environment. They're going after more people. It's no different than any of the other physical schemes that you protect yourself against in the real world. It's just people get more scared in the virtual world. They want your email address. They attempt to acquire your email address because your email has lots of information in it. They can use your email address to send other emails to other unsuspecting people. You probably have all folders in your email address with all your bills, all the places that you've been, all the utility companies that you deal with. They're going to send you a phishing message. A phishing message is just trying to get you to give up information. There's no virus in it. There's no malware in it. They're going to send you something that has an email that says, hey, we want this information, or we want you to click on this link. It's going to have a generic greeting. Why? Because they are sending this to tens of thousands of people. They can't take the time or spend the money to say, hey, Joe, you need to click on this link. They're not going to personalize it because this goes back out in bulk. It's going to have some forged link in the email, and it's going to request some personal information. It's either going to ask you to send that information back in the email, or it's going to make it have a link that says click here to enter your information in that email. And there is going to be a sense of urgency. This is how the scam works. They want you to think that you have to act right away, right now, and make a decision without thinking, because that's when you are the most vulnerable. When you see something and you're scared about it. It's not unlike sales tactics where you walk into a car dealership, they tell you this is the price of the car, you tell them you're walking out the door, and they tell you if you walk out the door, you're never going to get that price again. Why? Because they don't want you to think about it. Right away your mind thinks, hey, I better do this now or something's going to happen. So they do the same thing. I need to click this link now or something bad is going to happen. My email is going to be deactivated if I don't click this link. Most people, especially now that you get your email on your mobile devices, you will look at that and you think, oh my gosh, I got to act on this right away. They will send you a link that says something about your financial information, your bank account. You click the link, you go to a site, Bank of America, that looks like this. If you've ever used Bank of America or been to their website, guess what? This looks exactly like their website. You wouldn't know by looking at this website that is not Bank of America. They will actually pull all the pictures, all the formatting directly off the Bank of America website and make a mirror image of that website for you to go to. The only thing is up here in the URL, you see that that is not a Bank of America website that you have went to. So you put in your user ID and your passcode, and it goes to the people trying to steal your identity. It may or may not tell you that you logged into the Bank of America website. Most of them, if they're really bad, will just give you some type of error and then redirect you off to the real Bank of America website so that you don't know any different. They might also send you documents in emails, in phishing emails or some of these emails. All of these things are cyclical. It's February now. I almost said January, but we are in February. Happy Valentine's Day, yes. What do you think the emails are going to be trying to get you to do something now, this time of year?
Send flowers.
It could be with Valentine's Day, right, because that's a holiday that's here, but it's tax season. So guess what? All of the phishing emails that you're going to get now are going to be about IRS, taxes, things like that. Around Christmas time, it's going to be your package wasn't delivered. You need to click this link and look at this invoice to see why your package wasn't delivered. Of course, you all want your Christmas presents. You all want your family to have your Christmas presents. You think, oh my gosh, I bought something. I better click on that. And you click. This was actually a real message that went out that was pretty good, that came, that had a PDF in it, that said you needed to go to Dropbox, a file sharing cloud storage site on the web, to look at this document that a vendor sent. And when you get there, there's a screen and it looks exactly like, you know, hey, you need to sign on with one of your email addresses because they want your email. Like I said, from your email address, I can get probably to reset your passwords on most of your websites and most of your utilities and everything else because you have set up all your stuff to say, hey, if I forget my password, reset it using my email address. And how do I know which websites and which utilities you use? Because you have folders in your email where you move all your old emails based on the, Verizon or whatever utilities you use. So they want you to log in, use an email address with one of your email providers. But the thing is, Dropbox doesn't integrate with any of these email providers. So like I said, some of the other things, it's all about the now. The warrant arrest one always gets me because they will send out an email saying that you've had this violation. We're going to come arrest you. There's a warrant out for you if you don't wire us money right away. When has anybody ever gotten arrested from an email? Or when has anybody ever shown up at your house? But when you see that, as a human nature, the first thing you think is, oh my gosh, I am in trouble. You start to sweat, you get a little nervous, and you react on it. What I'm telling you to do is not react when you get these things. You need to stop and think about what you're doing. When in doubt, wait it out. Nothing is that important that it can't wait an hour, 12 hours, 24 hours. Nothing bad is going to happen if you don't click on that. So you get a message, and it's from somebody you know. Is it okay to open the message and click on the link?
Nope.
No, it's not. Because what if that someone you know had their account compromised? Unless you really know that you're getting an email with an attachment or a link from somebody, you should think twice about clicking on that attachment or link. Even if you know this person, they're a family member, you do not know what's happened to their account or who sent an email from their address. Like I said,
I always wondered, when you get an email, most of them, the virus inside is geared toward a PC. If you open it on your iPhone, will that hurt your iPhone?
well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. We'll get to those. That's an interesting topic, but we're going to get to that. I won't forget. So like I said, with your hacked email, there are many different things that they can determine. They can get to all the stuff that you have in there, probably reset your passwords. Whoop. So some of the things, if you're going to use your email address to reset your passwords for websites, create a separate email address that just does that you wouldn't use for anything else, and you're probably not going to give out when somebody says, hey, what's your email, user ID, and password? Nobody should know that email address, and it will keep that aspect of it safe should your email address get compromised. Email's free now. There are plenty of free emails out there from Hotmail, Outlook, Google. Your password that they're trying to get. If you can see your password from the back of the room, this is a word cloud of the top 500 passwords, it's time to change your password. You should go home and change your password if you can see it from back there. But these are the top 20 passwords. If any of those are your passwords and you have them for your Wi-Fi password or any of your account passwords, please change them, and change them such that they are a good password. What is a good password? Well, a good password is something that's not in a dictionary, because a lot of these attacks will actually use dictionary attacks where they will take words in the dictionary, they will put them together, run them against your account, and even change letters to numbers in the way that you would do that. These attacks have gotten really sophisticated. So what do they say you should use for a password? You shouldn't think of it as a password anymore. You should think of it as a passphrase. To make it as long as possible, something that's not in the dictionary, something that's mixed up. They used to say you could take a phrase like, my son's birthday is the 12th of December 2004, and just start substituting some things. Maybe use the first letter of a phrase, like MSBI12D2, so that you would remember it, or use the second letter of a phrase. But now the thinking is, and it's switching again, they're thinking that you should use the longest possible passphrase you could use, so it takes these dictionary attacks a very long time and they become unusable for the attacker. Just take a group of 6 or 7 words that are 4 or more characters, preferably about 6 characters, and put them together. Something like violet horse hammer roof. It makes no sense, but it's probably 4 words that you could remember together, making no sense. We all know it's hard.
If you use your email address to reset your password, banks and whatever will send you an interim temporary password to your email address. Can the hackers?
Yeah, if they've compromised your email address, that's how they're resetting your password.
Your
yeah,
email?
yeah, they can intercept the email if they have your password to it. Password vaults. It's hard because everybody wants to create one password and only remember that password. And you really need a separate password for each website, each thing that you go to. That can be, like for me, thousands of passwords that I could never remember even if I tried. So there are things called a password vault where you could create random passwords of varying lengths with random characters that are not words that make no sense. Even if I showed you that password, chances are that you're not going to remember that password in 10 minutes unless you were one of those people that stood in line at the grocery store and remembered check numbers of the person in front of you. The old scam. Some of the good password managers that are out there, some are free, some are not. Dashlane, LastPass, and KeePass. LastPass has a free version that you could use as one user, but they also have, what I see people like to do is they also have a family option where you can pay for the whole year and then share certain passwords with members of your family out of your password vault. What a password vault does is you have one passphrase, one long password that you use to get into your password vault. You put all your passwords in it and it encrypts them and stores them for you. Now, you don't have to worry if somebody gets that encrypted database of your password vault from the cloud or wherever you store it, they would have to know the passphrase to get into it. The only way, because they use such strong encryption, the only way to decrypt that vault is by putting in the main passphrase to that vault. That way you can have a separate password for all your different services. Another good thing, beyond passwords. We have to start thinking beyond passwords in this day and age to multi-factor authentication. All of the popular services now offer it, from Google to Facebook to Microsoft to some financial institutions, including Bank of America, PayPal, other services, Amazon Web Service. All of these offer multi-factor authentication. What that means is you have a user ID and password. You know your password, but you also have to have something you have, and that something you have is either a token or a 6-digit code. Used to be they issued you a little token. Now you can get an app on your mobile phone that will show you that code, or if you don't want to load apps on your mobile phone because you just have a flip phone, you can have them text you the code. It'll be a code something like this, where you put in your user ID, your password, and then it will say, okay, now put in your code, your multi-factor authentication. It would text you a 6-digit number that's good for 30 seconds. And then you would type in that number and get in. That way, even if you had that set up on Facebook and I knew your user ID and password for Facebook, unless I had your phone to get that text or your token or whatever you had, I could not get into your account. It would not let me, even with the password. So that's something to look into, and they've even made it easier now. If you have a phone with apps, you can get the Authenticator apps, and for the Microsoft and the Google ones, you don't even have to type in the number anymore. It pops up a screen on your device that says somebody's trying to log into your account. Do you approve or deny that login? I will tell you it's probably safer just to go with the texting and the 6-digit number route, because I have seen issues where people with this easy way of doing the 2-factor authentication have had their accounts compromised, gotten the pop-up that said, you're trying to get into your account, do you allow this? And because we're so used to clicking yes and okay, they clicked approve and let it go through, and the person was able to compromise their account. So it is easier, but sometimes security is not convenience. So getting a 6-digit code texted to you and typing it in is not really that hard. But at least do the easy way, at least try multi-factor authentication. So your security questions. Beyond the password reset that you would do with your email address, you now see they ask you for security questions. Well, things like what's your dog's name, what college did you graduate from, what color are your eyes. As an attacker, it's not that hard for me to figure out what the answers to your security questions are. Because if I want to know what college you graduated from, I go look at your LinkedIn profile. I want to know some other information, I go look at your Facebook profile or your Snapchat or some other profile, or look at your friends that also have, if I really want to get that information from you. It's not that hard to guess. So when you're creating a security question, the answer to a security question, you want to make sure that the answer to that security question does not match the question itself. So when it says, what is your dog's name, you don't want to put in Fluffy, you want to put in refrigerator or something that would not be guessable by the attacker. Better way to do it is just create some random characters and store it in your password vault. The password vault will create a random string for you. The only time this becomes an issue, I had a problem once where somebody needed to reset their password, and I was helping them with it. They had done this with their security question, but the website to do it was down. They had to call customer service. It's pretty hard, you know, customer service asks you, well, what's your dog's name? 453. You know, and they're like, okay, that actually worked. So you're surfing the web. You're at your local coffee shop, McDonald's, wherever you are. And you're going to the websites that you normally surf, you know, the local news sites, the sites that you feel are trusted. You have to be careful because there's a whole bunch of different things that could be going on while you're going to these websites, from compromise. You know, sites do get compromised. It is actually more rare now for a site to be compromised, and that's what's causing the attack on you than some other things, like malvertising. I don't know if you've gone to sites lately, but everything you see around that site, especially news sites and some other free sites, are advertisements all over the sides of the page. These advertisements are not put there by the people that run the websites or the companies. They buy them in bulk from advertisers. And these advertisers buy them in even bigger bulk from big ad agencies on the East Coast and the West Coast. It is not that hard for an attacker to get their ad with the malicious code in it into one of these advertising rotations that is bought by multiple companies, and then the codes put in on their website just to pull the advertisements you see based on where you've searched before, things like that, off of the advertiser's website. So you go to cleveland.com and fox8.com. I even saw it on last week ESPN.com, where you go to read a story, something pops up on the screen because of an advertisement that was on the side of the page. All these advertisements are targeted. They will be put in by the attacker. They will be sold into an ad rotation. It may be for a real product. It may be for a fake product they've created that they can advertise for, so that the advertiser doesn't think that, hey, this isn't a real advertisement. But these ad companies just want to buy ads and then sell them out, so they're just looking to make the money as well on this. These ads, when they pop up on the side of your screen, you may have a Windows device or a Mac device. They're looking for specific devices to target specific individuals for specific things. You're on a Windows device. It then has a random timer that says, if you visited this site before and got this, we're not going to give it to you again. If you're the third person out of 10, we're going to pop up the attack to you. They don't always want to pop up the attack to people because they don't want these ads to be pulled down. They want it to be a little less obvious to people that it's happening. So they target them to specific devices, and then not only that, they target them to specific people that are visiting the site and how many times you visited. You may visit the site 5 times and never get the pop-up, and the 6th time you might because of the way they have it structured. And you see it a lot. I see it a lot more now where they're targeting mobile devices because that's where people are getting their content from. And when you ask about Windows versus Mac and things like that, they go where the money is. A lot of people have iPhones, iPads, things like that they're now using to get to this content. So malvertiser, the attacker, puts in a advertising network their ad with a malicious code. It gets served on multiple websites that buy those ads. A user visits the website and then they get the dreaded pop-up on their screen that says, oh, you've got viruses on your computer, or there's some person voice telling you that something bad has happened and you need to act now, you need to call this number, or you need to click this button to run the virus protection. Again, it's that sense of urgency. They're trying to scare you or have you do something without thinking about it. It's no different. Happens on the Mac and the Apple as well as Windows devices. So you get one of these pop-ups. What do you think the best thing to do is? To click the cancel button, the little X at the top, what should you do? The best thing to do is to hold your power button in and count to 10. Because if I'm the attacker and I have put this window up on your PC, I know every mouse click and every keyboard stroke you're doing possibly. So when you click this little X button, I'm going to make it look like the window goes away, or you click the cancel button. I'm still installing my malicious software in the background because you've clicked that box and basically told me it's okay to install that program. So the best thing to do is save all your other work that you might have going on and hold that power button in and count to 10. And I will tell you, since I've told my family and friends that, I get a lot less calls that they've got infected. So.
Hit the
Can you get malware installed simply by the mail arriving, or do you have to open it?
You'd have to open it and run something. There is none that will just run unless you have your email client set to automatically run stuff, and I have not seen any like that.
So when it arrives in your junk folder, you can just trash it all?
Yeah, you could just trash it. Don't click on anything. Don't. The only thing that's going to happen is if you've read the email or looked at it or moved it, it will send back a thing that says, hey, this is a real person. They've looked at this email. It's been processed. So you're at your local coffee shop. You're surfing the web on your mobile device, on Facebook. You're on the timelines on Facebook, on the feeds, and we all see this. Somebody's posted this video of somebody in this accident, and look, they've got thrown out of the accident, landed on the highway, and walked away. You need to see this now, so you need to click the play button. Because we're human nature, we're curious, everybody wants to see what happens in that video, right? So what are you going to do? You're going to click the button to see what happens in the video, and you're going to get some type of pop-up that says, well, we can't play that video for you because your video player's out of date. You need to update. Looks like the real thing. It's not the real thing. They're just mirroring the real thing. They'll even give you a support number to call so you could have somebody connect up to your computer and help you install that. So you click OK. It installs some malware, possibly something like ransomware. Ransomware is the worst of what could happen. It will take all the files on your computer once installed, your documents, your pictures, all the files you care about, and it will encrypt them. It will encrypt them such that you cannot decrypt them or use them unless you have the decryption key. To get the decryption key, you need to pay somebody Bitcoin through a website. Now, I will tell you that until the website gets taken down by the FBI or whatever agency is going to take down that website, they will, because they are in a business to make money, give you the decryption key if you pay them. If you look at the hospital out in California whose files were compromised and encrypted, all their patient files, things like that that they needed, they paid the ransom, and guess what? The decryption key worked because they want people to come back. It's like a store. They don't want to make people angry. They want to get the money. Here's another one. Your computer has been locked. You need to pay the Bitcoin to get it back. Like I said, the site will be taken down eventually. Once the site has been taken down and you can no longer get that decryption key by paying Bitcoin, you might as well just say goodbye to your files. They're useless. Besides Bitcoin, we talked about digital currencies, things like that they use on the dark web. Because Bitcoin is gaining so much popularity in the news, some of these attackers are actually shying away from Bitcoin and using other digital currency that's out there. Besides Bitcoin, there is all this other digital currency that is out on the internet. And this is just a handful of the other ones that are out there that they use. And when you look at ransomware, they estimate that $679 million was paid to ransomware attackers in 2016. And that was up from 325 2 years ago.
If they mail you with ransomware and you pay the ransom, are they going to come back next week and do the same thing all over again?
Once it decrypts your files, you'd have to clean off the ransomware. If you get ransomware again by going to a website or something, it's possible they could get you again, yes.
If you pay them, why aren't they going to hit you again? Because they've already found a cow they can keep milking.
Well, and you're going to get some phishing emails and things, and they're going to try to get you to install things. But if the files are that important to you, like if they were to the hospital, you see $679 million was paid out for ransomware in 2016. So somebody must think their files are important. If you don't want to pay them, the best thing to do is to avoid running any software and clicking links you don't know, but to back up the files that are important to you. That includes your documents, your pictures, all that stuff. Because if they get encrypted and you have backups, all you have to do is delete the encrypted files and restore your backups. The hospital that was in the news in California, that had their files encrypted, had a backup strategy, but they had never tested it. So when they went to restore their files that they had backed up, they were not there, it did not work. So if you have a backup strategy, just make sure that you test it. Make sure you can get those files. There are some good ones where you could send it out directly on the internet and have it back up your files. I know some people like to back them up to a USB drive, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte drive. You just have to be careful, because if you're storing those files in the same house that your computer's in, if there's something like a natural disaster, you'll lose those files anyway along with your computer files. So fireproof safe, something like that. Keep it, I know some people shuttle them back and forth, different ones, to a safety deposit box. But if you back up your files, then there's no concern if you get ransomware, and you won't have to be figuring out how to spend Bitcoin, Gridcoin, or whatever other coin they want you to spend. So what else can you do? Well, we talked about surfing at your favorite coffee shop or wherever you are. You're going to connect to the Wi-Fi on your devices, whether they be your iPad, your mobile devices, or whatever. You always want to make sure that whenever you connect to these free Wi-Fis that everybody else is connecting to, that you are encrypting all the data that goes over that Wi-Fi connection. So you want to make sure that all the sites you go to are HTTPS, you get the green, you get the lock symbol, whatever browser you're using, whatever website displays, you want to make sure that you're going to HTTPS. But you've got to be careful, because there's man-in-the-middle attacks. If I'm sitting at the coffee shop next to you and I have my backpack with a wireless access point in it, and my wireless access point is advertising Starbucks, and you're sitting close to me and there's an access point over there that's the real Starbucks access point, which one do you think your device is going to connect to?
Closest one.
The closest one, which is mine, which is good. I'm going to take your data, I'm going to read everything that's in it and send it off to the real Starbucks access point, so you're none the wiser. You don't know that I've been looking at your data. And then send you something back. There's a couple different ways that I could do this. I can use SSL strip. What that means is you're going to send me an HTTPS site like Google, for example. Everything you do on Google now, including searches, is all encrypted. It's all HTTPS. There's a push to encrypt everything on the internet so that there is no unencrypted traffic. You send me HTTPS www.google.com, I intercept it, I send it off to Google, get the response back, but I can't mimic Google's certificate to encrypt it, so I send you an HTTP link back. Well, something like HTTP Facebook, chances are when you're sitting there going through everything, you're not looking up at the URL bar to know that that's unencrypted. Or I'm going to try to send it off, and then you might get a certificate error like this. So if you send off HTTPS and you have HTTP coming back, or you send off HTTPS and then you get a certificate error because I'm sending you, what happens in this attack is I will take your traffic to Google, I will encrypt it with my own certificate to send back to you. My certificate is not Google's certificate and is not trusted by your browser, so you get some browser error that says the certificate isn't trusted. If you've ever seen these, a lot of people just continue on, click through those, but if you're on a public Wi-Fi or a free Wi-Fi, you do not want to do that. You want to be wary if any of these things are happening to you, because a man-in-the-middle attack could be going on where somebody is intercepting your traffic.
What do you, that comes up a lot at the library, that previous screen. What do you do when you see that screen with the red X? What do you do with it? It blocks me out from Yahoo and everything.
It means something's going on at the library. That's whatever library you're at. That's probably bad. What do you do with it? You don't use the library computer till they fix it. You should not be getting that screen going to Yahoo or...
Yeah, I get that a lot. So what do you do now? I'm at the library. I've got this thing on my screen. Librarians don't know what to do. Just shut out of the computer? Get out?
Yeah, is it every computer or just one computer? It could be one computer with something and stuff.
Computers and it'll come up. It's
Is
on
it-
Yahoo email. comes in.
Yeah, I don't know, it could be somebody installed some. I would not use the library computer to read my Yahoo email. I'd find somewhere else or another library. Because you get this error when you don't normally get this error, and other people don't normally get that error going to Yahoo. It means there's something wrong, something bad is going on.
Get out.
Just get
Exit
out.
the computer.
Yeah, just X out and get out and move on somewhere else where you don't get the error. Some other things on your mobile devices, you need to lock your screens because it doesn't take that long for somebody to walk up to your device and get information out of it. I even tell people in their homes to make sure that they have a password on their computers because you don't know a lot of times family, friends, especially if you have children, grandchildren, things like that that come over and their friends come over. Do you want them rooting around on your computer that you do your bills and everything else on?
What do you mean by lock your screen? Shut the phone off?
No, you set it so you have to enter a PIN or a fingerprint or facial recognition now to get into your device. So that somebody that picks up your device or steals your device can't immediately get in and get at all your data. You know, Wi-Fi practices, no matter what device you're doing it from, an iPad, a mobile device, you want to make sure HTTPS, you're encrypting. You want to make sure you're not clicking on any of those links, answering any of those emails. You really want to make sure that you're waiting. You don't want to be taken in by these scams where they're trying to make you think you have to do something now. Keep all your devices updated. If you've seen the recent stuff with the Intel, with the Spectre, and all that, you may have to make sure you update your devices. And if you get rid of your devices, make sure they are wiped. Especially if it's a laptop or a computer. People ask me what to do with the hard drive. Well, there's some programs you could get to erase them. The most fun thing to do is take the hard drive out and get a drill and some goggles and just drill through the platter a couple times. And that will eliminate anybody getting the data from it. So you have to remember that no one from Microsoft support is ever going to call you out of the blue or any other support because there are billions of computers in the world and nobody is looking at the logs on your computer to know that you have a virus or there's something wrong with your computer. If you get one of those calls, just hang up. They're calling you, they're trying to scare you, they're trying to make you think they know better than you and that there is something wrong. But think about it. Why would they be looking at your computer? Why would the logs be going to Microsoft? How would they know that there's something wrong with your computer? And they do this from the IRS to Microsoft to everything else. If they're just cold calling you, just hang up on them.
What if you own Microsoft stock?
They're still not going to call you.
Okay.
They probably don't even know who you are. No one needs to know your password. And like I said, when in doubt, wait it out. And if you have a link in an email or something like that, it's harder on the mobile devices, but on a tablet or a computer, you can put your cursor over the link and it will show you the actual link that it's going to. So if the link shows bankofamerica.com and you hover over it and it's got some site that has a .kr or .china or something, you know that it's not a good link to go to. You are a target because, like I said, it's a business. They are just trying to make money for themselves. They're trying to get whoever they can. And everybody comes and they want the tools to keep themselves safe on the internet. There are some tools you already have. Microsoft Windows 10 comes with one of the best antivirus, anti-malware, anti-attack things out there. It's actually just been renamed to Windows Security, but it's still Windows Defender in the current release of Windows you have. You don't need any other virus protection or anything like that. It comes for free with Windows 10 and is just as good as anything else out there. There is not one virus program that's going to catch 100% of stuff. It does just as good as the other ones. I tell people if they have a subscription, let it lapse, don't pay for it. Next time it's up, uninstall your Kaspersky, Norton, Symantec, whatever it is, and just make sure your Windows Defender's running. If you're on a Mac, they have XProtect, which is the same, that will protect Macs. Comes for free. But if you really need something to look at what's been going on your computer, this will run on mobile devices, Apple devices, Windows devices. Malwarebytes. It's malwarebytes.com. There's a free version of it that you can run and scan your computer or your device to see if it has anything on it or anything you should be concerned about. A lot of my family and friends are cheap. They don't like paying for things. I tell them to just run the free version and do it manually at least every other week to see if you have anything on your PC. Otherwise, you could do the buy option and pay for a certain amount of devices for the year, and it'll automatically in real time check the things that are going on. But you'd be surprised how much this finds the first time you run it on a computer, and it will not only find viruses, malware, and things like that, but it'll find things that may unintentionally that you installed that may have an impact on your privacy, or potentially unwanted programs that may be sending data back to advertisers, doing things like that, and your privacy. So the biggest tool that you have is yourself. Just look in the mirror. You have to be confident that it's no different than the physical world. You wouldn't let some of these things happen to you if somebody walked up to you on the street and said, I need your bank information, or your bank's going to disown you and stop your account. You wouldn't give it to them. You just have to look in the mirror, and you are the biggest defense against all these attacks, because 90% of these attacks are not technology attacks. They're nothing that an antivirus or something's going to stop. They're all that social engineering where they're trying to get you to do something and to act on something quickly without thinking. All about that scam. So you yourself are the biggest tool you have to protect yourself. Don't be scared just because it's a virtual world. Just think about it in terms of the physical world.
Newer copiers, which are the ones you see in libraries or FedEx, have got hard drives in them. I've heard that what you copy stays on the hard drive for quite a while.
That used to be a lot. Now, especially places that have security policies, that document needs to be erased off the hard drive, or when that hard drive gets replaced, it needs to. Most of the time, they stay on there for a certain amount of time after you scan a document, in case you want to print it or do something else, and then they have to be erased off that hard drive in a DoD standard. It used to be that all that stuff stayed there, whether it was at your bank or at wherever they scan documents for you.
So you're saying it's regularly erased nowadays?
It's regular as part of a security policy on the copiers and scanners to erase that stuff, or they wouldn't pass their audits anymore.
How careful do you have to be with your iPhones? Are there many viruses, etc., that will attack?
It's the same as anything else. It's about the money. They're looking at where the biggest. There are a lot of people who have iPhones. There is a big crowd of people with iPhones. It's just the same as any other device you have now.
Have you seen viruses on the iPhone? I haven't run into any that have been hit by it.
Yeah, I've seen. We routinely get them on our network. We have about 5,000 unique devices a day connect to our wireless network, and we do some analytics about where they're talking back to, and you routinely see the iPhones having something on them.
What about Facebook? Can people send you little videos?
Yeah, that's the video player thing. You shouldn't, unless you trust it, or you shouldn't, if you don't know the person. My wife yells at me because she wants to see all the cat videos that her friends send her, and I'm like, you shouldn't click on that. Or she'll send me a video and she'll be like, did you watch it? I'm like, what do you think? Did I watch it? No. So, it's all, do you trust it?
The Max XProtect, is that like a separate program that you get?
It comes standard in the operating system after El Capitan and above.
So if you keep your operating
system up to date, you've already got it.
Okay.
You might have to go into Security Center. There's probably some settings to control how it works, but it comes standard.
Something gets into your computer or your phone, does it also get into your cloud?
It all depends what it is. If it's say something like a virus that's trying to propagate, it will look at cloud files if it's something like that. Not everything does. It depends on what it is.
Two questions. You say don't click on it unless you trust it. I mean, realistically, how can we trust anything?
That's why I don't click on anything. I mean, unless I know, you know, my wife might say, hey, here's a link to a website you need, you know.
Well, updates, okay? We get updates all the time, all of us here.
Uh-huh.
Do we trust them?
You trust your updates. And it's very rare or very hard nowadays to get something in the middle of an update unless you're totally on an untrusted wireless network. The only time I've seen that happen is like at some of the hacker conferences in Las Vegas and stuff, where you don't even turn on a device because anything on the Wi-Fi is fair game. But it's very hard to get fake updates pushed out to a device, especially on the cell network or Windows Update or something like that.
They also get a lot of information from so-called free upfront deals, like how to lose weight or whatever. And people also subscribe to get a free book or whatever.
They get information. That's the lowest part of the chain in the business, is somebody that's collecting all that information and then selling it up the next guy to phish those people.
Are there settings on your computer or phone, like in the settings, that you could go to and that could make it more secure?
Well, you want to have a password lock. You want to lock your lock screen. That makes it more secure. You want to make sure anytime you go to a website, it's HTTPS. I mean,
I was just thinking the physical, you know, like when you go and
you've got to think beyond technology helping you be secure. It's yourself. You have to be secure. It's all about the scam at this point, because things have gotten to the point where, you know, there is technology out there to help stop these malware, viruses, things like that. But if somebody's going to click on a link and say install a program, you've got to let them do that, because you want to install apps and programs on your device. So it's all about trying to trick you into doing that.
Right.
So, for example, on an iPhone 8, the security system is already on there? Okay.
Yeah. But you know, it's beyond all that security stuff you could have. And like I said, they're trying to get you to give information or install something yourself, because all these virus, malware, all these programs, security programs, can't keep up with the malicious software that they put out, because they change it on an hourly basis. They change the signature so that it can't keep up. They're looking for somebody to click and say, install that for me, just like you would any other app or program on your device. And once you do that, that's when you're in trouble.
Did you say XProtect was Apple's antivirus software?
Yes, that comes. It's after El Capitan or around that.
It's already on the computer.
It's already on there as long as you keep your OS up to date on the Mac.
Will you allow emails to come from stores like World Market? Do you get them?
Everybody gets them. I can set up an email address that I've never used for anything, and somehow, because they just try different combinations of letters and things at email addresses, you get spam eventually.
So they're not, I mean, are they safe? If you want,
You're just reading them. You're not clicking on anything, or
you click to open.
well, you click to open it, but inside what you're reading or the advertisement, you're not clicking on to go out to a different website or giving them information. It's just something you expect to get, maybe a newsletter or something like that that you're reading. Those are safe. Okay, so I hope we all learn that we are the best defense. Yeah, you don't throw it away. You can't live without it nowadays, so.
Yeah, but I'm afraid to use it.
When you buy something over the internet, I go through PayPal and then pay for something rather than putting my credit card number in. Is that safer, or am I just wasting my time?
It makes you feel better. It's probably a little safer, but as long as, I mean, nowadays the credit card companies are pretty up. They have they'll let you know if your credit card's been, I mean, typically it's worse getting your debit card or something in a skimmer now than getting it stolen buying something online.
Okay, thank you.
Unless somebody has a breach and those credit cards numbers are gone. But, you know, most of the time now it's when you go to a retailer or something and they haven't secured their credit card readers. Online, you just have to be careful like anything else.
How about when you're in the store and someone's carrying their tablet around and they can check you out and you give them your credit card? You're just hoping their tablet is secure and...
Well, it goes back to the whole point of sale system in that establishment. Whether it's a tablet or a terminal, you don't know that they're following best practice and being secure, but...
I'm embarrassed to ask my question because I'm really stupid about computers, but I go to the library, I won't have the stuff in my house, I refuse. I opened a thing one time at my house, and it was so like the Yahoo site that it took a long time for everybody to figure out how it was a fake Yahoo site.
Mm-hmm.
But at the library now, if I change my password for Yahoo, is that enough protection for whoever got into my site? Or do I have
Do you have a cell phone? Can you get...
No, it's a flip top. I don't.
All right, can you get text?
I won't get it now after this.
Can you get text?
No, I don't do texting.
Oh, because I'd say you need to go to multi-factor authentication, because then even if they get your password, they can't get in unless you have that 6-digit code that's texted to you. Yahoo supports multi-factor authentication.
Oh, that's why I have so much trouble with Yahoo. I gotta get somebody to help me. The librarians don't know how to do that. I know what you're talking about. It bothers me all the time. It gives me a hard time over it. So I have to change my password and follow their instructions, and I should be okay to keep out who's ever gotten in there.
Yeah, until they get your password again.
I just keep.
You got to be careful. Yeah, keep it.
I had a bank account, they sent me a little, I don't know what you call it, a little gadget, you click it, you come up with a number. Is it
Token.
Token, is it an algorithm programmed into the unit? And I guess they have the matching algorithm at the...
Yeah, it changes every 30 seconds.
Are those things available for other accounts besides?
Yeah, that's multi-factor authentication, and you don't even need the tokens anymore. All those banks and other services, your email, everything, they can either text you the number that you'd see on that token, or you can load an app on your phone like Google Authenticator, Microsoft Authenticator, that will show you that token number.
Ask for that?
You have to go, typically now, you don't have to ask for it. You just go into your account and go into your profile security settings and turn on two-factor authentication. It's mostly in the security settings of accounts now.
No, I have. I was actually on yesterday. Yesterday I was purchasing something for work, and all of a sudden, click to go to the checkout or whatever, and it ended up like, I don't know, I'm sure it was a security thing. I don't think it was anything. I'm just curious what this was. I was on my end or the website's end. So I ended up clicking on it, and then all of a sudden, immediately, it routed me off there and said, your connection's not secure. And then I typed it in, I typed in the web address again, go, well, get back in there, log back in, change the password, whatever I gotta do. And it kept not letting me even go to that page. It said the connection's not secure, whether it be some kind of certificate on the web, on their website.
What's happening now is all the web browsers, if you're up to date on the current versions of web, or Chrome, Edge, Firefox, because they're a push to encrypt the whole internet, if you're doing something like shopping or shopping cart, you go to an unprotected site, the browsers are now not letting you shop on that site because they know it's a browser security thing. They know it's unencrypted.
I knew it was something that on their end something wasn't secure.
And it's really the push to encrypt all of that, everything on the internet in the next 3 years.
Yeah. Security's pretty, I've noticed they've stepped up a lot.
Yeah, so the browsers now will not let you go to an unsecure site to do something like that. They know.
I was just going to add that I use two-factor authentication, but I get a phone call rather than a text.
Yeah,
So
some
I
of
guess
them still
that's
do
for-
phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if some people don't have like
Texting.
an iPhone or they just have a flip phone, I think.
Yeah, a lot of providers don't like the phone call or don't have the phone call option because it's more expensive for them. So if it does, then you could use that if the phone call option's there, but they're incurring more cost on their end to provide that, and not all of them do. So you're lucky if whoever's doing that provides that option. All right, one last one.
Right, with all this technology and so-called sophistication, we've got a multiple problem. I mean, the problems seem to be greater than the service.
That's your point of view.
Well, yeah, we had problems before technology, like there were the snake oil salesmen, the pyramid schemes, the people reading checks in the grocery line. It's just because now so many more people are involved in it, because it's the internet and you can reach more people. It's like anything else, and you hear about it more now because of real-time news and everything.
Does your wife use the computer still as much as you?
She does. She's learned to use it properly. Sometimes, like I said, she still watches those cat videos, but.
Okay, very good.